Elements by Rejects on AO3. Chapter 20. OMAKE Elements Trivia. Group. Predate Scandal, there were a lot of fans who shipped various pairings within the group. The Katsu-Izu couple were one of the top pairings, mainly because of their status as childhood friends. Katsu-Ijiri and Iju-Denki couples are super popular as well because of how touchy-feeling Ijiro gets with both of them, concerning hugs on and off camera. Shoto-Izu, Shoto-Katsu, Shoto-Ijiro, and Shoto-Dane couples are all equally popular because of how caring and dotting Shota tends to be with the group. The Shoto-Izu couple might be in the lead. Fans of these pairings actually get along with each other, funnily enough. Katsu-Denki, Katsu-Izu, and Denki-Izu couples are on the smaller side, with Denki-Izu a little more popular just because they've seen interacting on more cameras than the other two. Katsuki. As mentioned in article, Katsuki started a cooking channel pre-debut as a way to vent, but he ended up more stressed out because of all the food wasted. Pre-debut, the channel had only 2 videos. After debut, for the heck of it, he uploaded one more with Izuku. Post-debut example. With Izuku, warning, lots of yelling. Obvious after seeing Katsuki need to be the number 1 in Baby and Me, that goes for any TV show that is competitive in any way or a live performance. Results vary depending on how Shoto does. Katsuki's view of the ideal relationship comes from watching his parents growing up. They love each other so much, and Mitsuki tends to gush about Masaru whether or not he's in the same room. Katsuki found the lovey-doveyness so gross as a child that he swore never to turn out like them, and was never interested in relationships from then on. For that and other reasons, he just wasn't interested. Little did he know he turned into his parents, specifically his mother. Speaking of parents, Katsuki knows more about them than he really wants to because of Mitsuki's, non-graphic, oversharing. He's the cook of the band. Originally, wasn't even planning on it, but soon after seeing how terrible everyone else is at cooking, not only does he take his chance to be number 1 at it, but he also doesn't want any more wasted deaths after Shinso's incident. See Shinso. As children, Katsuki began picking on Izuku the moment he found out Izuku was quirkless. As a child, having a quirk meant everything. But as adults, unless you're joining the police force, having a destructive quirk is actually pointless. This fact didn't sink in for him until therapy. Katsuki's first thought was to use his quirk to blast Toga away when he was being attacked. However, since he had a little experience using it, it's still recovering from Izuku's appearance, he was just not doing well. He didn't want to kill anyone on accident. The flashback scene, however, was just his dreams rending. Katsuki actually was about to push her off before Denki came in. Izuku. His father is always gone because of work, but they do contact each other from time to time. However, it's not as often as Izuku likes. Izuku tries not to let his father's frequent absence and his mother's loneliness to skew his visions on love, especially when he sees how Katsuki's parents tend to be. As he mentioned, a lot of romantic songs he writes are inspired by films he watches. However, not being in a relationship himself, writing comes much easier for him, and he can't help but write based off his own feelings nowadays. After discovering Yagi Toshinori was one of the people who signed the petition to lift the KTDK suspension, he was over the moon and didn't expect it at all. Later in the week, Yagi Toshinori sent them a little gift basket of various snacks and knickknacks and a card saying, "Congratulations." He laminated the card, and Katsuki lets him keep the gift basket in his room. His ultimate dream is to become an actor like Yagi Toshinori, but realizes his journey with elements makes everything worth the wait. Because of Toga, it takes Izuku a while to trust fans who come up to him. He was incredibly wary of a fan with her father at the amusement park, but wasn't too worried since he wasn't alone. His hair is curly and has a mind of its own, so stylists spend the longest time on his hair out of everyone in the group. He can do scary stories, scary films, scary games, scary anything, as long as it's not happening to him. Shoto. He doesn't have the scar. Because of abuse, his mother left his father when he was young, still married to avoid having their divorce all over the news, as Enji claimed, and she was unable to get full custody over him. He and his mother have a very close relationship, however, and she was the one who supported him since he first joined UA. Shoto is also closer to his sister, who left alone for the most part and not treated in the same way as her brothers. As for the two brothers, one currently works at a hospital and another prefix, and the other ran away from home. They both ran away from home, which is why the brother, who's in the medical, lives far, far away. He did some acting as a child, because of his father pushing him to be a great actor. But down the line, Shoto wasn't that interested in acting and decided to dabble in music instead, especially to get away from his father's influence and make his own name. He finds he enjoys acting from time to time, but it doesn't hold a candle to where he is now, and he is happier. He's commonly seen as the group's dad. The fans have not decided on the group's mom, which is surprising for a boy band. Every time someone asks about his father during interviews, he gets real sassy, and fans love him for his sass. No one outside the family knows exactly what kind of father Eiji is, so the quips just make Shota out to be a rebel son. Question. In a recent interview, Todoroki Enji talked about how he's looking forward to see you learn about the difficulties of fatherhood through Baby and Me. Do you have anything to say about that? Todoroki. Well, so far it hasn't been difficult, but I guess it helps that all my children love me. Because of his attitude towards his father, there are older adults who aren't that fond of him. The Shoto incident. Shoto can't cook, without a damn, and isn't trusted in the kitchen. He has his hot and cold quirk, but it isn't trained to use them properly. So in the earlier band days, after accidentally catching the stove on fire, not quirk-related, followed by blasting the entire kitchen with ice in a panic, he was banned from doing anything other than boiling water. He has practiced a little bit since then, though. Ichiro. Auditioning for UA was actually meant to be a joke against him and his friends, but then he got accepted and went with it. While he did backup dancing for other singles, he was working to debut as a rap duo with another trainee, Tetsu Tetsu. However, the duo was unable to debut as Tetsu Tetsu was forced to leave UA for a short amount of time for family reasons. Tetsu Tetsu returned shortly after the Elements debut and will be debuting as a solo rapper. In the first few months of their debut, a fan wrote and sold an infamous R18 AU fanfic about all 5 of them in an intimate, polyamorous relationship. The money went purely into just the printing. Ichiro owns a copy. At first as a joke, but it's surprisingly well written. And it's widely known that he does after a fan asked if he ever heard of it, to which he responded, "I own it, but aren't you a little too young to be reading that sort of stuff?" He's not actively looking for dates because his band has his entire heart. But his band having his entire heart has him a little confused. He has a lot of photos on his phone of his bandmates sleeping in awkward positions or with awkward faces, and no one in the group knows about them. Also, Katsuki makes the best sleeping faces. Dinky did backup dancing pre-debut, as well as a part of a few dancing crews for a variety show starring trainees for UA. He was also trained to MC, and was almost chosen for MC as an unnamed music show. At debut, he thought being quiet and handsome would gain him more fans. Girls love mystery guys, but as it turns out, more people would pay attention to him if he stood out and was more or less himself. He is a big, big fan of Sin X and tends to chat with them often. He's closest to Jiro. Out of all the band members, he's closest to Ichiro, who was usually his dance partner throughout their trainee days. Ichiro also helped him with his rapping after Iji plus Tetsu Tetsu rap duo fell through. One time, for a friendship exercise in a variety show, someone had the gall to make him and Shoto hold hands. Shoto has surprisingly soft hands. Dinky was embarrassed for thinking that at all. Katsu Izu couple. They stopped talking to each other completely in middle school after Katsuki joins UA, and talked to each other again after Elements is formed. Inko had known about the therapy as it was happening, but knew about the rift between them, so said nothing about it to Izuku. Imagine Inko's surprise when she found out the two of them would be debuting together. Of course, she was also incredibly worried, given their track record with each other. But she's fine now. Songs about Katsuki, written by Izuku. Love Pains. Bad Taboo. Somewhat about him, but he tries not to make it personal. No title, unreleased. Umbrella. Somewhat about him, but he's still trying to sort out what's going on with his own feelings. Fallen. AA Gala. So about him, it hurts. Katsuki actually has no idea it's about him, but the rest of the group had figured it out. Also the fans. Especially since Izuku and Katsuki released it together as a duet. Secret Summer. Summertime's news. Only Izuku knows it's about Katsuki, but Izuru might have caught on. Katsuki doesn't write lyrics often, but when he starts to feel things, he writes whatever's on his mind. Bright Smiles, Daisy, is a solo song they released with the repackage of their first album after their dating debacle, and everyone knows it's about Izuku. After the dating issue goes by, Izuku and Katsuki decide to get couple rings. They find some nice, simple ones, painted gold, and wear them on their pinky on their right hands. However, after a bit of time, the gold rubbed off, so now the rings are completely black, and their fingers get a little green. Denki gets on them about buying better quality rings. But no, these are their couple rings. Maybe for an anniversary or something. Fans had sent them rings as gifts after noticing the rings had faded, but Izuku and Katsuki both agree not to wear any of them, especially since there are so many, and fans might feel left out if theirs aren't worn. They finally finish All Might Forever together to celebrate after finding out Toshinori helping petition. Katsuki doesn't know, but Izuku has more pictures of him on his phone than Katsuki does of Izuku. Not only do they have All Might movie nights, but they also have scary movie nights now that Izuru dropped out specifically that genre. The two of them rarely get scared by whatever they're watching, and spend a majority of the movie discussing things that are wrong with it. They also spend some free evenings cuddling up and listening to scary story readings. Skinship and fan service. Elements doesn't necessarily play into fan service, but the group is known for their natural skinship, mainly Izuru and Katsuki. But mainly Izuru and the Skinship King. Izuru tends to hug and hold hands with everyone, because they're his boys, and he loves his boys so much. He would date all his boys, platonically, if he could. That's how much he loves his boys. There are lots of behind-the-scene footage of Izuru hugging his bandmates from behind. He mostly does this with Katsuki and Denki. Shoto is completely opposite, and is very awkward when it comes to physical contact. He has only ever properly hugged his mother and sister, but not often. However, he will still accept hugs if there are any offers. Denki works with hugs better than Shoto can, but hand-holding is too intimate for him, so Izuru is careful on that part. Katsuki doesn't even care. He just doesn't care. But if you touch him without his permission, he'll kill you. Hugs make Izuku happy, especially those group hugs. He accepts hand-holding, but like with Denki, it has a more intimate feel to it. Pre-date scandal, Izuru would always hold his hand. Post-date scandal, Katsuki chases Izuru off whenever he sees him even try. Others. Yariyozu Momo is a really popular actress, and a great singer at that. And the single Warning she released that features Elements was a hit amongst both artist fans. And they performed this song on TV, as well as Elements' first concert. Momo also makes an appearance in their music video Hide and Seek. Momo and Elements end up close friends, and she has lunch with them from time to time. She is especially close with Shoto, as they recently realized they knew each other as children because of their families. Kota loves his big brothers. He grows interested in singing because of them, and acting, because of his #1 superstar hero, Shoto. Katsuki's mother gives birth to a baby boy, and when Kota calls Elements late into the night, saying his mommy is having the babe, they all rush to the hospital to give Izumi's family support. The baby's name is Kona. Ochako is one of the first people who provided Izuku support when he first joined UA, and they've been friends ever since. Pre-dating scandal, Their closeness had been expressly frequently on their own social media, and there were fans on both groups who were quietly convinced they were dating. Big 3 is also under contract with UA. Big 3 performed the theme song Superkick for the film Masked Ranged 000, which Shota was a part of. Little did anyone know, the not scandal, that involved Mirio and Tamaki was actually a date. They're just better at it than Katsuki and Izuku. They don't announce after the ban is lifted, more for privacy reasons, mostly on Tamaki's part. Okay, I love that small little jab at the end. I love that small little jab. That's very interesting. I really enjoyed this fanfic. This was a really nice fanfic. Thank you, Rejux, for letting me podfic this. I'm sorry if I've been mispronouncing your username. That's how I read it as Rejux. Link to the fanfic, the original fanfic, is down in the description. Make sure to go there and leave comments and kudos. This was a really interesting read, and I would love for there to be a sequel or something more, but again, last time it was updated was 2007. They're not updated, but last when this was posted was in 2017. Do I believe that there is going to be like another part of the series? Probably not. But I very much enjoy what we do have, and it was really, really nice, and I did not know that I needed a boy band Bakugou, but we have a boy band Bakugou, and I very much enjoy it. So I'm going to go on and read you the tags and the summary of the next fanfic that I'm going to be going over, which is An Unexpected Future by A Series on AO3. Summary. I'm sure you're looking forward to finding a way back to your own time as soon as possible, Nezu said. I want you to know that UA will do everything in its power to help you achieve that goal. Time travel is a complicated equation to solve, but I'm sure if we put our heads together, we'll come up with something. Five raised a skeptical eyebrow. And you're just gonna do that out of the goodness of your heart? I'm not even old enough for high school yet. Well, we're all heroes for a reason, no? What good are we if we can't help a single child in need? Nezu pointed out, with a pleasantly neutral smile as he slipped his teeth. Or, instead of time traveling into the apocalypse, 13-year-old Five teleports into the middle of the USJ fight. He gets a couple of new dads out of it. Here's some of the tags. Crossover. Canon typical violence from My Hero Academia. Because My Hero Academia, let's be honest, is a little more violent than, what's it called? Umbrella Academy. Because, yeah, okay. Parental Yamada Hisashi. Parental Shota Aizawa. Alternate Universe Canon Divergent. Hard of Hearing Yamada Hisashi. Manipulative Nezu. So Nezu's not a good person in this fanfic, or at least is very manipulative. Implied / reference child abuse. Yay! Child soldier. Yay! Past child abuse. Yay! The Commission, TUA, does not exist. Oh, hold up. That's interesting. Okay. Queer platonic Aizawa Shota / Yamada Hisashi. Queer platonic. Okay, I've heard that terminology a lot before, but I don't. Give me a second. Queer platonic. Okay, there you go. Opening up. Queer platonic relationships, QPR, and queer platonic partnerships, QPP. Okay. QPP. I'm sorry. Are committed intimate relationships which are not romantic in nature. They may differ from usual close friendships by having more explicit commitments. Hold up, where are my glasses? Okay, I can't read that, and I feel stupid because I know this is because English isn't my first language, which should not be an excuse considering that I've known English for such a long time. Commitments! Now that it was broken up, right? I didn't even have to, like, search it up to say it. With it being broken up as come and then mints, I was able to read it immediately because when it's together, I get so confused because maybe that was my dyslexia. The words were getting, or not words, letters were getting jumbled up. Commitments, validation, status, structure, and norms similar to a conventional romantic relationship. The concept originates in the aromantic and asexual spaces in the LGBT community. Like romantic relationships, queer platonic relationships are somewhat said to involve a deeper and more profound emotional connection than typical friendship. Definition. Chase mentioned the asexual visually of Education Network defines definitions of queer platonic relationship as non-romantic significant other relationships or partner statuses. In their discussion of new terminology produced by the ACE community, members attempting to name relationships and experiences that were previously inflatable, whatever. Chases has since offered a more nuanced definition of queer platonic as relationships that are not romantic relationships, which are also not adequately or properly described as friendship, even if the persons involved are indeed friends. Queer platonic relationships are a meta-category, catch-all, for a diverse of non-romantic, non-normative relationships. This is consistent more with detailed ACE and Arrow community accounts of terms, history, and meaning. Julia Scar Decker writes that QPR often looks distinguishable from romance when outside the equation, but should not be assigned a romantical status if participants say it's not romantic. So it might look romantic to people, or, someone might say like, oh, that's basically just romance. Why not just call it a relationship? But you shouldn't, because they're saying not to call it. Okay, interesting. She also notes that observers may misread it as typical close friendships in circumstances where overly romantic gestures are socially expected. For Deckers, the essence of queer platonic attraction is ambiguous position in relative of norm categories. She writes that queer platonic relationships is a platonic relationship, but it is queered in some way. Not friends, not romantic partners, but something else. Some definitions put less stress on the partner status structure of queer platonic relationships and focuses more on the idea that it represents a stronger emotional connection than friendships. For instance, the College of William and Mary Negate's dictionary defines queer platonic relationships as an extremely close relationship that is beyond friendship, without being romantic. And sex therapist Stephanie Gloshaber, in Psychology Today, similarly describes queer platonic relationship as a deeper commitment than friendship, but often not as romantic in nature. Sexuality in aromantic online spaces. Queer platonic partners are some take nicknames zucchinis. Okay, zucchinis, am I pronouncing that right? Hold up. Zucchinis. Yeah, okay, that's interesting. Guys, really zucchinis? I like that. I want a zucchini. Can I get a zucchini? I want a zucchini. LGBTQ news website Pink Today describes this as a joke which refers to the lack of terminology to describe meaningful relationships. Relationships outside of romantic or sexual partners. A platonic crush is also called a squash. Some of you guys' terminology would be nice. And the term might also be applied to queer platonic relationships. Queer platonic relationships attraction is also sometimes referred to as a plush. Can I have a plush? I want a plush. Please, thank you very much. I want a plush. Thank you. Okay. Let me see if I could find more about it. I just want to get the most information I can. Please feel free to, do your own research on your own discretion, on your own time if you are not 100% sure. I'm going to read all this and then I'm going to tell you what I got out of it. Here is a fandom wiki for LGBTQ, because I love this wiki. Okay, queer platonic relationship. A queer platonic relationship is a close, non-inherently sexual, non-romantic relationship that is beyond what most would consider to be a friendship. It's considered an emotional commitment and prioritizes that is typically seen in romantic relationships without being romantic. People in queer platonic relationships may be of any gender or sexuality identity. It may involve a greater degree of intimacy or commitment than a platonic relationship, but does not always include sexual or romantic elements. Queer platonic relationships are not limited to the aromantic community, often include asexuals and those on the asexual spectrum, though it is not restricted to the aspec community, or any specific gender or sexuality identities. A queer community, a queer platonic relationship could be a relationship involving two or many people of any gender. Queer platonic relationships, and the language used to describe them, are an alternative to heteronormative relationships that assume that everyone wants romance and or sex relationships. It bends, changes, and challenges Western culture understanding of monogamous and committed relationships. It involves more than just friendship or romance, but is a deep mutual trust, emotional closeness, and loyalty usually found in romantic relationships. Asexual and aromantic people might find utility in naming their significant relationships, queer platonic, instead of using words that imply a sexual or romantic connection. Some queer platonic partners live together, platonically marry, or have no romantic or sexual iterations. It can be a way to fulfill a desire for emotional intimacy without compromising an aromantic identity. Additionally, queer platonic individuals varies in how it appears. It may look like platonic physical affection, literally sleeping together, co-parenting, living together, sharing finances, pooling resources, and or blending families, and even marriage or children. Queer platonic relationship structures tend to be non-exclusive, but can follow any model that feels right to the persons involved. The amount of mutual intimacy in a queer platonic relationship is determined by the individuals in the relationship. I see. Okay, so what I'm getting out of this, so now I'm going to take my 2 cents of what I got from all of this. Queer platonic relationships are two individuals who agree that this is more than a friendship, but it's not a relationship, and there might not be any actual romantic or sexual feelings involved, but some of this stuff might happen, and it's not necessarily that it's romantic or sexual or anything like that, right? Like, they might kiss, but it's not romantic. It's just suiting a need, and it actually depends per relationship, how platonic it is, how, not platonic it is, but how, like, what's it called? How much quote-unquote typical romantic stuff someone might consider romantic happens, if it's, you know, monogamous, if it's polyamorous, if it's just a bond between two friends where it's like, hey, we're more than friends, it's a connection that's way more than friends, or if it's like, okay, well, you know, we're not, like, necessarily, like, love each other like that, it's, you know, but, you know, so it depends, and it varies person per person, and situation from situation. And for the most part, it is in the asexual and aromantic scenes, but it is not exclusive to those people. Interesting. As an aromantic and asexual person, I've always heard the terminology queer platonic, but I never understood it, and I think I understand a little bit better. So for those in the comments who maybe know it a little bit more, please feel free to tell me and educate me on stuff. I really love learning more stuff. So if I said anything wrong or if I misinterpreted it, please go ahead and tell me. So what I have interpreted this as is, it is a term that some people may use that mean different things for different people, but for the most part, it genuinely just means that this is a connection that is not necessarily romantic or sexual. It's not just a friendship, but it's not a relationship. Did I get that right? And obviously, it depends on how romantic or how non-romantic, how friendship-like it is, how non-friendship-like it is, how, you know, monogamous it is, how polyamorous it is, depending case per case. Which, if so, I think that's very interesting. I probably had many queer platonic relationships and didn't even realize it. Considering now I had some friends that I was like super close with. I'm like, we're not friends, but we're not dating. Like, I don't necessarily like you like that, but like, you know, because I am aromantic. And there's definitely people where it's like, okay, I don't necessarily have romantic feelings for you, but like, hugging, kissing seems fine. And like, we're friends, but like, you know, I wouldn't label it as like a relationship, but like, we're really close friends. I wouldn't label it friends either. So, and I never knew what to name it, so I always just ended up saying like, oh, I just like the person, I guess. I don't know. When in reality, I didn't really like the person. I never understood it. So I'm happy to actually have a term now. Oh my God. Okay. Jesus Christ. I should have learned this a long time ago. I should have learned this back in 2020 when I was doing so much research on what's it called? Any of this LGBTQ plus stuff. It was something that I went through because I was trying to find a gender for myself. And I kept going across of like, oh, trans guy. Yeah, no. I'm still trying to find a gender. After like years of like, yay, I'm a trans guy, I admit it. I'm like, but like, non-binary. I don't know what I am. I'm leaning towards more demi-boy, if I'm being honest, which is, not necessarily being a guy, but not necessarily not being a guy. I don't know. It's weird because I do like when people like look at me and they're like, what is that? Is that, you know, a girl? Is that a guy? That's just a person? Like, what is that? I'm like, yeah, I'm just a person. I'm an alien. I want you to think of me as a Barbie with no parts. And I also like the thought of being both, but at the same time, I hate being a female. It's weird. It's weird because I need to distinguish what is me hating because I genuinely hate, or me hating because if I go with, you know, being female, that's all I'm going to be seen as, right? So it's stuff like that. But I'm glad that I have a terminology for this. This is very interesting. And as I said in the comments, please educate me. Please, please, if I get anything wrong or if there's anything in this video wrong, please. I really want to be educated, and I'm going to do more research after I'm done with this. I'm going to, you know, watch people talk about it on TikTok, watch YouTubes, watch a bunch of stuff, read a bunch of articles, obviously hear people from communities and see if I could reach out to some people who are in queer platonic relationships who could guide me and tell me like what it is, what it's not is. So if you're in the comments and you know what queer platonic relationships is, like to a T, or you've been in a queer platonic relationship, please inform me in the comments if I am right or wrong about. I will not take offense to it if you're like, actually it's this. Don't worry, I want you to educate me, okay? I need education. Please and thank you. I'm gonna take my glasses off. I had to put my glasses on for that whole reading segment, which, by the way, I butchered some people's names. I'm sorry. I'm sorry if I butchered a name. Just, you know, I didn't feel like saying it right, so I butchered the fuck out of it. As you could tell during that reading, I was having some difficulties reading because I do have difficulty readings a lot of the time, so yeah. As always, my raindrops, make sure to eat, sleep, drink water, take your meds. Have a wonderful day or night. Link to my Discord server and socials are down in the description. Subscribe to see more of my content, and thank you so much for watching.